throughout the entire month of January and now even going into February, the Democrats have been taking L's. I mean, left, right, up, and down. Democrats are getting slapped around. They're doing the same tried and true tactics of la resistance, ho fest, protest, marching. And no one has time for that BS anymore. I mean, that's what it is. Now, I could sit here and give point by points about how many times the Democrats have screwed up since we've been doing independent media now for 8 years. Hardlens Media, 8 years strong, standing up against the BS and the censorship since our inception. So that's the truth of it. And the thing is, what we have all come to realize is that as a political institution, the Democrats were always bound for failure. But the thing is, we had this conversation way early on. So before I talk about current events, we're going to time travel to the early days of Hardlands Media when, boy, there was that audacity of hope that maybe after the 2016 election cycle, maybe the Democrats could have learned something. But no, they didn't. And who else better than to usher it in was than our first major guest, Jimmy Dore. So, folks, try not to laugh at young Kit. There's so much I want to warn this young man about, but it's okay. It's okay. This is an old school video that will usher in some things for us all to laugh at in regard to the Democrat Party. The reason we're here is the existential and transparent failure of the Democrats, to quote Jimmy Dore. So during the 2016 election cycle, in both the primary and the general election, you were one of the main people that was really critical of how the elections were being covered, especially with how the DNC establishment worked with the Clinton campaign to commit election fraud to deny Bernie Sanders the nomination. From your experience covering that election cycle with your show and being a commentator on TYT, when was the moment you realized that this election will not go the way corporate media was reporting on it? And everybody chill here for a minute, okay? This was young idealistic Kit when I still had hope. Oh, if I could only warn this young man about so many things. There's so many things I want to warn him about.
I didn't know. I also didn't think Donald Trump was going to win. I'm not that smart. I'm not a good predictor. I guess
you called a lot of things out, and they did turn out they were going to happen.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's just obvious, and if people don't want to see it, that's not because they're not smart. It's because they don't have the courage to face reality, right? So the people who said that we had to prop up Hillary Clinton over Donald Trump, and we had to play that's literally the game Hillary Clinton planned. Literally, she knew she was repulsive. They knew in 2008 that half the country wouldn't vote for her.
Mm-hmm.
So Christopher Dodd stood up at the Democratic debate in the primary in 2008 or 2007, I guess is when they had those debates. And he said 50% of the country won't vote for Hillary Clinton. I'm not telling you something that nobody else up here knows. We all know that. And the party has to recognize that. He said that in 2007. And then 8 years later, they go on and nominate that woman who they knew almost a decade earlier was repulsive to half the country. And so they have to prop up a criminal clown in the other party just so she can get elected. They had to first rig that primary so she could be the only person in the country who could lose to Donald Trump, yet they still want to blame Bernie Bros and Jill Stein and Susan Sarandon, and
which they're still doing to this very day. Still blaming anybody and everybody who supported independents and third parties and chose not to vote. We did a segment, and it'll be coming out tomorrow on Sunday, in regards towards, you better believe it, how CNN and Democrats are lecturing Arab voters for either being uncommitted, not voting for anybody, voting third party, and yes, surprisingly, even voting for Donald Trump. And yet CNN and the Democrats haven't learned their lesson. So even early on when we were on the radio, when we were just starting off, the Democrats as a political institution haven't learned a single freaking goddamn thing.
Russian memes and 12 Twitter bots and every other, because they don't want you to look at the system that gave you Trump. And anybody who told you, and there's still people who wag their finger and say, oh, you happy about the Supreme Court? Barack Obama should have sat his Supreme Court nominee and he didn't. Yeah. Again, the reason why we are here is because of the existential and transparent failure of the Democratic Party. And for them to make you believe that the antidote to Donald Trump is more corporatist, warmongering neoliberals is the biggest lie being told today besides Russiagate.
Mhm.
And so uh, when I saw good progressives cajoling people into a party that was actively working against them and cheating how you could call yourself a progressive and tell people to join the Democratic Party. Not only that, but wag your finger at people for not supporting corporatists who take corporate money. That's when you've lost your way. And so they're still doing it, by the way. If we don't get a third party, things will continue to get worse. Do you think half the country is going to be excited to vote for another corporatist, for Kamala Harris or Cory Booker? They're
Mm-mm.
not going to be excited. It's the same crap as Hillary Clinton. So, the whole thing about elective politics is you're supposed to go out and garner votes. And if you don't have enough votes to win, you're supposed to go earn someone vote. One is owed. You don't owe your vote to anybody. They're supposed to earn it.
Yeah.
Half the country didn't vote. And if Hillary Clinton wanted to win that election, maybe she should have spoke to those people. The New York Times did a great article right after the 2016 election. They went to Milwaukee. They went to barbershops where minorities didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. They interviewed barbers. Four of them all voted for Barack Obama twice. These four didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. Two of them didn't bother to vote. The other two wrote in someone else's name. And that's how bad Barack Obama let people down.
And that was an old school video because if we're going to be checking out things, first of all, again, you have the Democrats now demanding, especially with their performative art. Oh, top Democrat demands answer on Treasury cover up of Musk team's access to key systems. So, first of all, before we even get to this article, I just want to rewind back the clocks when the Democrats were confronting or trying to barge into the Department of Education. I said this in the clip video, and I will say this here now, and I even said it on the post-duopoly show with Nick of RBN and Russell and Keaton of Due Dissidence. If those Democrat congressmen and women who were confronting that lone security guard actually gave a damn about the Department of Education, they would have found a way to get inside that building. It is inexcusable. Maybe it's because of my inner Marine. Maybe it's because of my time growing up in Chicago. But when you want to get something done, you got to boot up and suit up and do it. And so, yes, I will compare our congressional lawmakers to the lawmakers in South Korea. When the South Korean president declared martial law in his country past midnight, what did the MPs of South Korea do? They actually confronted armed, militarily trained units of the South Korean military, South Korean army, and they confronted them. And those people in that parliament, those elected officials, climbed the walls, pushed their way through the armed and heavily trained military personnel, snuck inside. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if someone did a Shawshank Redemption in reverse and crawled through the sewers just to get inside that damn building. If the Democrat lawmakers really gave a damn about the Department of Education, they'd go in there. They'd find a way to get inside. They wouldn't be there like, oh, look at us and oh, woe is me. What are we to do? If you're telling people to resist and fight, then do it. Otherwise, shut up and quit wasting my time. And that's the truth of it. They are wasting our time. For example, U.S. Senator Juan Reagan on Friday demanded answers from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent after reporting contradicted the department's narrative about the level of payment system access granted to lieutenants of unelected billionaire Elon Musk. Now, look, let's talk about Elon Musk and his influence in Washington, D.C. Okay. This isn't anything new. Do I like the fact that billionaires or people like Elon Musk can have access to our political system? No, I don't, but he's nothing new. The only difference is he has a big face and he's well known. But how many times and how many years have gone unnoticed of other multi billionaires influencing our politicians, both Democrat and Republicans? And yet we're treating this as brand new. You do realize that 99% of the time, your favorite elected official in Congress, in the Senate and House, and yes, even former Democrat and Republican presidents have been at the beck and call for their billionaire donors. I mean, my goodness, people, if things were in the Uno reverse world and Kamala got in, remember, $2 billion, that's a whopping $2 billion was spent on the Kamala Harris campaign. Don't look me in the eye and tell me that those billionaires weren't going to want a nice slice of pizza Don't look me in the eye and tell me that those billionaires ain't going to want something in return because it's an investment. And when $2 billion poof evaporates, they lose their investment. Elon being in is no different than what they would be doing, except there'd be a fancy neoliberal mask on things, and the system would move along as is. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with what's happening with USAID. USAIDs. I couldn't help it. Am I being mean to Democrats? Of course, unnecessarily so. But all this time and all this opportunities that you had under the 4 years of Biden, now they want to put up a fight. Now they want to know what's going on with the Department of Treasury. Now they want to know what's going on with the Department of Education. Now they want to know this and now they want to know that. And because all these lies are being revealed, and the American people, especially those of us in independent media, we're realizing that we were proven correct about the whole hypocrisy in the first place. We're seeing how Political and Reuters and all of these other people were getting that nice government check. Some monies was coming their way in one form or another, in some iteration or another. Raises an eyebrow about how authentic a lot of these quote unquote authoritative, influential people truly are. Question everything all the time, every time, and see the Democrats, if they wanted to, and this doesn't make me a bad person for saying this, if the Democrats wanted to, they would have fought harder, but they can't. And now corporate media is wondering, well, how the left is not having some kind of apparatus to get influence over prospective voters. Well, there was an opportunity. I mean, clearly, the left had an opportunity, but a lot of these people, especially larger social media channels, CYT. Oh, where'd that come from? They got that nice Katzenberg cash. So discussing how the left not having a right-wing media apparatus. Oh no, it did. And it got co-opted by Democrats. I mean, I remember a time when TYT was the only big fish in town, and how disappointed myself and others were when they took that Katzenberg cash. Once again, Jimmy Dore proven correct. So, just want to pull this up here because I want to give a huge shout out to Case Study QB. We're going to watch this video as a family, as we should.
But I think what the real secret is that the right wing has an entire digital media apparatus set up, much bolstered by Elon Musk on X, which is setting a narrative.
And who knows, it could be TikTok next.
Yes, but probably will be. But the Democrats or the left wing, nothing with left wing culture has anything like this. And this did not just.
That's because it was killed. Any real progressive independent media movement, a lot of channels got the platform demonetized. A lot of channels also got that Katzenberg cash. Well, TYT got that Katzenberg cash, but a lot of people were just given their marching orders to carry water for the Democrats. You know about the vote blue no matter whose sphere. I mean, there was money put into that. A lot of money. This isn't open for a debate. It's not a polite suggestion. They were given that money. They were given the figgy pudding so they could have the clear roadway for influence. And what did they tell you in 2020? Vote for Biden because Trump's a bad man. If you vote third party or independent, or if you even consider supporting Bernie, even though we all know now he's a nutless wonder, you're a bad person and you're a secret fascist. Remember how all of corporate media, and yes, even the larger Vote Blue No Matter Who channels, and eventually even the other quote unquote larger progressive channels were saying, oh, yeah, we got to stop Trump. Hardlands Media, we were one of the few, one of the only few, and there were others too, that said, hey, Trump's going to come back in 2024, and we were proven correct. And what did the Democrats do? They kept on playing the same game again. You know what happened after November 5th? Their whole system crashed down. Their loyal audience, whatever remained of the 2016-2020 movement, gone.
Blossom out of thin air. This was a decades-long process.
Because they're adhering to the rule of law and they're telling the truth. Right. The reason this right-wing anger apparatus works is because the algorithm clicks in to what triggers people to get angry and lie.
Don't you dare bring up the word algorithm. Hey, I'm the world heavyweight champion of being stepped on by the algorithm and rhyme. I am that world heavyweight champion. I know all about it. You know, there is an algorithm, and the thing is, it has silenced a lot of independent media networks. There is an algorithm that's also suppressing other content creators who aren't in independent media, who do other types of content. And you know, these larger channels, I've been seeing a lot of these videos out there. It's almost as if something's being done to silence a lot of people, or either that make it, I don't know, unattainable. What's going on? I mean, when you have viewers and subscribers and you build a strong fan base and the support group, I mean, it is those subscribers' right and entitlement to know when their favorite content creators upload or go live on their YouTube channel. There is an algorithm. It's just designed to suppress regular people and benefit you, corporate media, because you bully your way on here. That's why you're losing views, BSDNC. I mean, MSNBC.
Ties to them.
It does, but there's also no answer to it on the other side.
Of
No
course there is.
attempt. And
Absolutely
there
there is.
are
100%
people.
there is. Of course there is. Any argument that we've had here, which we say the Democrats are making. We were talking during the break about AOC. AOC is on there constantly. She's one person and she has a limited reach. 100%. But the challenge is infrastructural. It is impossible to break into this sphere of nonsense and agitation. You just can't do it by being like, well, honestly, USAID does good work. I mean, which is true.
USAID. USAIDs does good work. There is no war in Bossing, say. Really? Really? How come is it then all these quote unquote other media shows and platforms and networks were getting that nice sweet government check, that cash money from Big Daddy G? I mean, it's almost as if there was something in place for a liberal narrative that was purposely built to suppress progressive independent channels. And yes, even other channels too. I mean, it's out there. And you're going to say, like, I can't believe it. We can't get in this space. No, it's because people have the option of not listening to your video and not wanting to hear your corporate BS over and over again on MSNBC, which is why Comcast is thinking about getting rid of you out of its portfolio.
And valid, but you can't defeat a very exciting lie with a relatively
very
boring
exciting lie about condoms going to Gaza and costing millions of dollars. That lie starts and then it gets amplified and amplified and amplified. And by the time I see my mother on Friday night, she'll be telling me that lie. We can't expect.
Like how you guys lied to cover up the Hunter Biden laptop story. MSNBC, CNN, ABC, New York Times, Washington Post. Remember? Everyone's saying that Hunter Biden laptop was Coca-Cola Classic Russian disinformation.
To have the left to have the counter to a lie machine.
I completely understand that, but they either way, they are not set up in digital media, and they themselves will tell you this. The Democratic Congress people will tell you that they know that they are behind in digital, and
this is the biggest lie that MSNBC biggest lie. I'm losing count. Hold on. I'm losing count of how many lies are being shared with us right now, folks. Because, hey, as we have said
all
before,
lies will be exposed.
They shall be exposed. No. If we're going to rewind back the clocks, we're going to go to 2008. It is undeniable that the Democrats, with the Obama administration winning in 2008, that they had a large control over the news sphere of media. And since then, it has been in their favor. Democrats are going to say they lost control. Oh, no. They had control. And when you have government institutions trying to suppress and censor stories like the Hunter Biden laptop story and others, when you had Twitter at the time, Facebook deplatforming, silencing, and censoring activist groups, community organizers, libertarians, progressives, there were pro-Bernie Sanders supporter pages being shut down. This has been happening ongoing. When Heartland's Media got started, this is when this stuff was going down. And yet corporate media wants to say, oh, they have no way in. And Democrat lawmakers say, oh no, we don't have any way in. When you had people like AOC cheering for Tucker Carlson to be deplatformed and censored and saying deplatforming works. No, it doesn't. See, it's great when it's working in your favor, but then all of a sudden when you lose control and not to mention the support of your original base and people, then yeah, you have lost control because no one wants to listen to your same propaganda crap over and over again. There was control, but you chose not to do anything in regards to addressing the real problems in this country because you wanted to maintain the control and keep people in the dark. The reason why we got Trump is because of the failures of the Democrat Party, the failures of corporate media, the failures of these people who want to control and silence and suppress free thought and free speech.
That their approach and that what Donald Trump did in building this digital community, let's call it, he did a lot of work there. And you're not going to win with Chuck Schumer's tweets.
Okay, fine. We're going to go to break, but I'm going to say, here's the problem. When you tell people the rational truth, it doesn't go viral.
That's right.
Sorry.
Do you want to see something viral? Do you want to see the media? Here, folks, let's sit down and watch Rational Truth, because this has been the poison in our ears, not for 2 years, not for 4 years, not 8 years, not 10 years, but decades. You've heard this rhythm and rhyme before, and I apologize in advance, but this is truly a threat to our democracy.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities, the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about trouble and irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Hold on. Wait a minute. We'll put on these glasses. Every time I put these glasses on, I swear, some people look normal, but then others look like deformed aliens from another dimension. And the newspapers tell me to consume and obey, like in that movie They Live, starring Roddy Piper. It's almost as if this is part of the plan.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 This is
Hold on. That guy was the weakest. Say that again.
Dangerous to our democracy.
Put more passion into it.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 There is no war in Ba Sing Se. There is no fifth chaos god. Hold on. To quote Roddy Piper, I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum. The Democrats brought this failure onto themselves. This warning was given 7 years ago by Jimmy Dore, and we are in this crisis because of the Democrats. And yes, the Republican Party plays a role too. Both parties are owned by corporate interests. Both parties are controlled by the neoliberal establishment. Is it my fault that they are losing? No. So they could put on their performative art of trying to get inside the Department of Education or raise an alarm about the Treasury. But if you're not going to fight for it, and even when you do get a supermajority and you're still not going to fight, why do I need to waste my time and energy listening to you, Democrats? So go ahead, put on the same song and dance of impeachment and the fear of Trump. I get it. Everybody's afraid of Trump. Woogie, boogie, boogie. How funny will it be when he's done with his second term and he's done? He flies off into the sunset. What else do you have then? What happens when the fear and your tactics disappear? What are you running on? It is in my belief, and I probably could be wrong about this, the Democratic Party as a political institution will face extinction, and them being considered a legitimate authority here in American politics will evaporate. Let this serve as a lesson. If you choose not to fight, if you choose not to stand for values, you lose the support of the people.